Good morning. Thank you for coming here to join us this morning. Thank you very much to everybody who's come to talk here this morning. I'll present you in a moment, introduce you in a moment. Let's talk to Enrique, General Manager of Westcom. On my left, I have César López, General Manager of the Good Job Foundation. He has experience in many different companies. He's worked in marketing and logistics, such as Segur and international logistics. And since 2007, he's been working social economy and has always developed projects related to diversity and disability. So thank you very much for being here today. We also have Enrique. We also have David here. He has already given a chat here over the last few days, so he's already well known. He's been in technology security for more than 50 years. He has worked in different roles, but always in the field of security, and he currently works in Telefónica in the global proposal for security. He has also managed proposals for technology for Telefónica. He has training in the Polytechnic University of Madrid and a number of certifications in cybersecurity. He's specialized in technology, integral risk management, anti-cloud, and has a great deal of experience in R&D, project management, and dealing with teams. And of course, everybody will know the next person here, Roman. He gave a talk here yesterday. He has more than 26 years of experience in the sector. He has worked in large companies such as Digital Security, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ferrovial, and where he was responsible for architecture and security for 10 years. He's co-founder of the event, one of the most important events in cybersecurity in the country. He doesn't only work in Madrid, but also nationally and in other countries. He works in the master in cybersecurity, and he is now general manager of Real Talent. My name is Raúl Riesgo. I'm here from ENCIBE, and I'm very excited about the project that we're going to talk about this morning. And now I'd like to hand over to César. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much to ENCIBE for inviting us here to the event, and above all for accompanying and fomenting the program that we're going to talk about today, the program for employability in cybersecurity, an opportunity for businesses and the disabled. We've spoken about the fact that cybersecurity is really important currently, and this is an activity that is indeed got many opportunities in terms of employment. It will grow over the coming years. There is a great deal of activities, and this creates the demand of different types of profiles, of many different kinds of qualifications, different types of skills, and these are great reasons to have an employability program out there. And for an organization such as ours to do something special, Good Job Foundation, something special for people who have disabilities. It's saying, okay, there are opportunities here, and why not? When I spoke to ENCIBE about this, and as Roman is also a part of this and foments this project, we realized and we thought thought we have to do something from the Good Job Foundation. Let me tell you a little bit more about us. We are not related to cybersecurity. We have no idea about cybersecurity, but we do know a little bit about employability and disabled. We are an NGO, and we deal with people who have disabilities. We focus on employability and disabilities. So we feel like we have to, shall we say, to talk about the issues that we're going to talk about here today. Cybersecurity is a huge opportunity for people with disabilities. And we talked about this in the foundation, and we thought, well, this is an accelerator, shall we say. We put things on the table, and as we were talking, including to the people who are here with us today, including Enrique Sanchez, everybody was saying, well, it's clear, it's obvious how obviously we're going to do this. It's very, very clear. And there were several reasons for that. And I'd like to talk about the part that I'm more familiar with, the reasons and for disabilities and so on. And then we'll talk more about the opportunities. The objective of the program is to open up opportunities for people who have disabilities to find stable jobs, so that people with disabilities can find stable jobs in the field of cybersecurity, and to identify and foment the capabilities within this field, taking into account different levels of employability, different levels of support, and different kinds of positions in companies. So one of the things we said was that cybersecurity requires a great deal of number of tasks. So we need people who are different types of capabilities. As such, there are probably people who have disabilities who are very, very good dealing with certain areas of cybersecurity. And since this is growing, it's the time to do it. And so we were decided to go along with this project and create an employability program in cybersecurity for people with disabilities. Let me talk a little bit about what it's all about, what the focus of the program is, and try and tell you a little bit about how we're dealing with this. It's aimed at people with a disability. It has no cost for the participants. It's something that we do, that we're going to do from the organizations that are involved. The idea is for it to be 100 people when it is born in 2020, and it goes ahead. Then we will deal with people who have disabilities but would like to work in technology, who are searching for job opportunities and are able to apply themselves to the field of cybersecurity, and who have training that is not just the standard training, not just certifications in computing. We're not talking about masters and other interesting courses, but it's aimed at people who maybe don't have a great deal of training, but have the vocation and capabilities depending on the types of opportunities that are available. We'll give 2 training courses in Madrid and León, and we want this to be a scalable project so that we can identify the best way, and the best way of doing that is experimenting. We're going to have 2 different dimensions. We'll have 2 pilot training courses, Madrid and León. One will be a bit shorter and one be a bit longer in both cities. And following those training courses, or at the same time, we will identify the skills that these people have, and companies that have opportunities and that have the option of taking these people on a professional role and incorporating them into their staff. So it's not a commercial search so that they can end up working in a particular business. There will be 5 people giving support in Madrid, 5 people giving support in León. These are technicians in employability. They have a great deal of knowledge in terms of employment for people with disabilities. And each person will deal with a specific area of each of the different participants and help to orient them. So when a person starts working in a different profession, we find talents, find skills that even those persons didn't know about, and we will find that in the field of cybersecurity. So those are the main parameters of the program. We want to train people. Some will be perhaps better than us, but what we want is a global vision with a general line, so that people who have a disability, who don't have a doctorate, don't have an engineering degree or higher level education, but do have a vocation and do want to end up in this professional field, so that we can give them the opportunity to do that. And before we get into the technical side of what training courses, how to do this, I'd also like to talk a little bit about disability, about why it's even necessary that we need to have a specific program for people with disabilities. Talking about numbers, there are around 1,800,000 people in Spain who have a disability. These are people of a working age, and out of them, people who are working or searching for work, we're talking about 35 people out of every 100 people. So these people are either working or looking for work. But however, in the field of disabilities, we're talking about 78 out of every 100 people who are of working age that are looking for work. We're talking about a more of a social model in this particular case, but these figures give an indication of the field that we're working with. There is about 23–24% of people who are unemployed, whereas the figures are a lot lower with people who don't have a disability, 15–16%. So this is another indication of why we need to focus on this field and to give people incentives to people. We talked about women in cybersecurity before, and it's a little bit the same in this field. So what characteristics or what are the profiles of the people with disabilities? Some people have a physical disability, 25% of people have a mental disability, you can have audible disabilities, and other people have permanent disabilities. If somebody's had an accident at work and can't continue in their line of work, they end up having a status of disability, and part of that 15%. So what are the characteristics of these people? So only a small number of people have a degree. Some have higher education, and then we get into primary education, and a small percentage of people who don't have any education at all. So there are a lot of people who are with a disability who are looking for work who don't have higher education. The people who do have higher education, a degree or a master, really have a great deal of number of options within the field of employment. It's very important for employment to be inclusive. 75 out of every 100 jobs that are offered here in Spain go through agencies, but businesses aren't out there offering themselves to the people with disabilities. But we believe that there are many companies that are not special agencies in employability, do have opportunities in their companies, and we can incentivize people to work in their field and work in these companies. This way we'll have more inclusive employment in the country. There is legislation so that people need to have people with disabilities working for them, but the offer available out there does not meet the demand. In cybersecurity and in other sectors, in Madrid, we're not talking about roles that anybody can do if you don't have the appropriate training. So these are all the different reasons that justify why we have positive discrimination and an employability program that focuses on people with a disability. It's not about the people with a disability with the best training to put them into this program. We're talking about people with disabilities who are looking for a job or have all of a sudden they have a disability. This is quite common in the field of work. People all of a sudden are in a situation in which they have a disability, and we have to deal with people and give opportunities to people who come across this situation. Therefore, it makes a lot of sense that we set up this program. We can help people who don't really know what they want to do, weren't clear about that, or didn't have the sufficient training to enter into this sector. But we can orient them, and they can find out about technology. And if we are able to help them and orient them and let them see that they have an opportunity in this field, we can accompany them in that entire process, because these people might find that they are not successful during the selection process, the hiring process, and this is what we wanted to help them to get to the end. And the program will accompany people so that we can work with those situations and find stable employment in regular companies for people with disabilities. And this is a little bit of the objective of this program, and a little bit the idea and the approach that we have.
I would like to focus now on how, and that is where I would like to talk to the people who are here with me, because when we started thinking about this together, because Good Job did have a program with training in cybersecurity, but we had a maximum of 15 people who would get into jobs a year. So we thought there's something we're not doing right. And this is where Roman came along, where Raúl came along, as well as Enrique, through his company. And that's what we saw where the accelerators could be. So I would like to open the debate, and I invite you all to take part and see what positions do you think people who are not computer engineers could take, what training, what specific training they should undergo, how in order to get stable jobs. Is it the beginning of the professional career? Could be for some, could be for others. Is it possible for people to get to the top of cybersecurity, or is it enough for us to just help people to access the job market and accompany those who want to get to the top, but let those who do not want to get to the top do whatever they want to do? So, Roman, every time I look at you, I see that you're willing to say something, so please go ahead.
Yo os voy a retrotraer al año 91.
Well, I would like to take you back to 1991 when I started working with BBS. And it's funny because my first modem I bought from José Cerdán, the director of Telefónica Tech, when he had a computer shop in Zaragoza, Paseo Sagasta. So just so you get an idea of the world we're talking about. So I started connecting to BBS, to university, and I got 115,000 pesetas invoice, and my mom got really upset with that. And so I started getting in touch with people who were into hacking, which at the time was fricking, trying to tap into the phone and pay as little as possible, get on pilot lines, get on beige box, which is what we had here in Spain. So one day I got connected to El Sol BBS. This was about 3 in the morning. So I'm just walking around my... So if you haven't seen a BBS, you won't have any idea what I'm talking about. But just imagine you had little text boxes all around the screen, and it took for a while for the whole screen to have text, and then you'd get onto a forum and the same little boxes, and then you could start downloading files and reading text. So this is 3 a.m. Pop-up shows, and the administrator starts asking, and I see that he is writing really slowly. I'm really excited, nevertheless, because it was my first time. So I start getting to know this person virtually, obviously, on a virtual world. I don't know if on the other side I have a dog, a cat, a dragon, a man, a woman, a tomboy, anything. Some months go by, and this person invites me to their home. Just picture, I was 17 at the time, so I had to go from Zaragoza to a little town really far away. So I look for buses, I look for means of getting there, and when I get into this man's house, I see that this is a man who is in bed and can only move his wrists a tiny little bit, and so he had created little accessories with little sticks that would help him write on his keyboard. He had created this BBS, he had created an investment firm that he had done remotely, and that's when I realized the amount of things you can and cannot do. And this is really the criteria that I always use when someone says I cannot do it. This man was called Fernando Beltran, and he was responsible for El Sol BBS. And then I understood two main things. First of all, on the other side of the screen, you don't have to care who you have, because there's someone doing magic. Doesn't matter if it's someone with a mental or physical disability. They are capable of doing many things in the world and by themselves. And regardless of what that person is like, no one can have aesthetic and absurd limitations in their lives. And this is something that Cesar has said. I only get in touch with people who fit the idea that I have of a hacker. And Edwin Conchi was saying earlier, you can be a woman hacker, so it is true. I have been talking all my life through IRC channels with different people. I didn't know what was on the other side. Even Second Life, do you remember? You could interact with avatars. You didn't know if it was a man or a woman. You only saw the avatar. And in a field which has a lot to do with merits and what you do, it's wonderful, because I don't need to know what you are. You can be whatever you are. Just work and produce good work, and that's the only thing that matters. And this is why I thought this was a wonderful opportunity, first of all, because I feel an emotional link with it, but also because I really think it's an opportunity to show how we can do things well when it comes to inclusion and integration. Cesar was saying regarding content, we have to be pragmatic with this initiative. We want to achieve results, and in the short term as well. David is coming from Telefónica, and Westcom is here as well. And these are two companies who have decided to work with us from the word go, and they are really working for this to work. And this is key, but it cannot be an excuse for for people with disabilities to end up in ghettos, because we're thinking about someone with a disability checking socks and lines. And I'm really sorry, I've got a very colorful language, but I want to say that this is a shit job. And it's very good that to start, but someone with a disability can be able to manage red teams, can do forensic, digital forensics. They can do just everything that anyone can do because it has nothing to do with their disability. And this is essential, yes, but we have to be pragmatic. We have to start getting people with disabilities into the field. We have to start training them, and we have to build a path for them to start growing and to start being in different positions, and here actually giving talks and telling us all what happened during their career and how they got where they are. So companies like Westcon, what they need right now, they have perimeter security, they have a lot of correlation, they have many different platforms, and they would need an inventory, and that is essential for them. And maybe we should work along those lines for training, because Raúl and Beatriz, who are helping a lot with us from Employability, Raúl was actually saying during a meeting, I understand what you want in the long term, but let's start with specific steps in the first 2 quarters of next year. So let's see what Telefónica needs, let's see what Westcom needs, because they are the companies that are working with us. And let's start with that, which doesn't mean that our goal in 3 years is to have 8,000 hackers with disabilities who do really cool things. Well, there's no need to explain how much Roman is really helping the situation and to talk about his vision any further, but I would like to link this with what he said about Westcon and the role that companies play in this. We have 2 levels of companies, some we don't know right now that we hope are going to be companies who take in people with disabilities that take part in this program, and then other types of companies who have started to work with us from the word go and say, no, I am really interested and I want this now. I don't want to wait. I don't want for this to take forever. And so I'm going to mention 2 different situations, but which I think are complementary to each other, because we have a very diverse team and very interesting as well. It's all about feedback amongst us, isn't it? Yeah, for example, Enrique, I met him and I mentioned this, and it took him literally 15 seconds to say, no, I'm interested and I want to partake. So these companies that are on this first level, they want to hire people with disabilities as soon as possible, and they want to be sort of catalyzers for this. And I'm talking about 2 levels because we have companies such as Enrique's who already have hired people with disabilities who are in the Good Job Foundation and who have taken a certificate in computing security that we offer for training for them with the cooperation of the Telefónica Foundation. And so we have a beginning for those people who are already working in their company. But what's interesting is that in the first 2-3 months, they're going to train them on what the company does, but at the same time, they're going to start looking into where they could go within the company, depending on what they like doing and what they're good at. And so they said, well, we want to take part in this, and we want to start straight away. Well,
básicamente es una demanda de profesionales en este entorno donde hay
what we see is a demand for professionals in this field,
incorporar talento a la velocidad que la pide el mercado.
Y estamos
explorando pues también todas las opciones, ¿no?
So we are open to explore every options, and when I talked with Cesar, I thought this was really interesting because there's obviously, as we were saying earlier, legislation, and we have social responsibility as well, and our company is very, very committed to giving back to the community
técnicos, un
So we have
área
a platform
de
with
soporte, como
3
decía Román, y
different
de
technical levels,
atención
the
al cliente y demás.
support
Y por
area
otro lado
and
tenemos un
client
área también
care
importante de formación
area.
y otra de servicios
Then we have
profesionales.
another
Y por
area
eso que
for
estamos un
training and
poco
another one for
explorando
professional
dónde
services.
mejor van a encajar
And
estos
this is where
perfiles.
really we
Pero
are
no
exploring
eliminamos ninguna
where
posibilidad.
these
Ahora
profiles and
mismo
these
estamos viendo
people
que obviamente
can
en
fit
soporte
in, but
encaja
we're
muy bien
not
porque es primer nivel, segundo nivel,
closing any
pero la
doors. We're
incorporación de
seeing that support
estas tres
and customer
personas
care
recientemente en la
fit
organización
in really
y alguna
well, but
anterior
after having
nos
these
ha
2-3
aportado no solamente
people
esto,
in our
potencial
company and
de
with people that
encajar
we've
estas
worked with
personas,
before,
rellenar
we've
puestos
seen
de
that there
trabajo y
is
demás.
potential for
Yo
these
creo que
people
también ha
to fit
aportado a la
in
organización, yo creo que eso es importante decirlo,
stages as well,
pues
and
un
I
espíritu
think
nuevo.
they have
O sea,
added
que eso
a
a mí yo creo
new
lo que más
spirit and point of view to the
me
organization,
produce
and I
impacto.
think this is
La
key,
incorporación de
and this
personas
is
con
what really
discapacidad
I think
en un
makes an
entorno, como
impact,
decía, de pleno empleo,
including
vuelve un
people
poco
with
a
disabilities in
la
your
humildad de la
company.
gente, ¿no? Decías que el
Gives
70%
people
de las personas ha tenido
back a bit of
incapacidad
perspective. It
sobrevenida.
makes them
O
look
sea, el
at
mero
life
hecho de la
from a more
superación de estas
humble point
personas
of view.
para también volver a
The fact that
empezar
you
en un
see
entorno laboral,
people
querer
who are
apostar
working
por
really
algo que es
hard to
complicado.
get
Porque
started
nuestro entorno es un
again
entorno
in a
complicado, es muy
company
específico,
and bet on
comprometerse
something
en
which is
realizar
very
esa formación,
complicated
ir a un
because this
entorno
field is
donde la
very
gente ya está
specific,
formada en
get the
teoría o
commitment
que viene
to
con
train
formación
in that
pretérita,
field,
pues para ellos también es
and
un
where
doble
they work
esfuerzo.
with people
Eso
who
está
have
aportando en nuestra
also who
organización
have
y en
already
el resto
trained
de
on
los
this.
técnicos
This is a
un
really,
espíritu
really
distinto.
big
Yo eso lo
effort.
estoy notando en la gente. La gente
And
se siente
I think
orgullosa
that has
también
changed
de
the point of
tener
view
como
of everyone.
compañero
I
una
think
persona
everyone feels
que se
proud
supera
of having next
física
to
o
them
psíquicamente y que
someone
todos los
who
días
is
viene al trabajo, que quiere
constantly working
hacer más,
to
quiere aprender, quiere
get better,
contribuir y
to
a mí me parece que esos
overcome
valores
their
son
challenges and
importantísimos
their
y que a
handicaps, and
veces,
that,
como
who
estamos en
come
esta
every
dinámica,
day to
¿no?
work and want
del
to add value. And I
empleo, de
think that
crecimiento
is
y demás,
absolutely
nos
key.
olvidamos un poco
And
de
when
esa
we
base
talk about
y
employment and
esos soft
growth,
skills,
we usually
no,
tend to
creo
forget about that and about
son
soft
cruciales para las
skills,
organizaciones y
which are absolutely
este
crucial
perfil de
for
personas
organizations. So
subrayan,
these
recuerdan
people
y
do
incorporan de nuevo, si
highlight
queréis,
and
a las
remind us
organizaciones
and
pues
even
un lado también
bring
más humano,
back
¿no?
to the
Y
organizations the human
esa parte
side
pues un poco
of
más,
everything.
quizás no tan directa con el empleo y demás, me
And
parece que es
it
muy
might not
importante
be
para
so
nuestra
directly
organización,
related
obviamente, pero
to
también para el
to
sector.
work in
Parece
general,
que es
but I think it's very
una cosa
important
que
not only
aporta
for our
mucho.
company but also for the whole
Pues
field
mira, al hilo de
and
lo
the
que dices,
industry.
es algo que nosotros
Well, and picking up
nosotros
from
observamos mucho
what you
cuando
were
tenemos un
saying,
proceso
this
con
is
una empresa y
something
es algo
that
que ya hemos
we've
observado incluso
seen very
en
often
Westcom.
when we start
Al
working
final,
with companies,
todos
and
tenemos
we've seen it in your
estereotipos de las
company as
cosas,
well.
¿no? Entonces, cuando hablamos de
At the
integración
end of the
laboral
day,
de personas
we
con
all
discapacidad, cuando hablamos de
have
personas con
stereotypes.
discapacidad,
When we talk
pensamos en una
about
persona
people
ciega,
with
una persona con un
disability, we
síndrome de
think about
Down,
someone
una persona
who has
sorda
seeing
o
difficulties,
diferentes
who
estereotipos que tenemos
have
todos en la
Down
cabeza, ¿no? Y cuando hacemos
syndrome,
esto,
who cannot hear,
y nos imaginamos cómo vamos a
but
introducir a
we all
estas
have
personas,
stereotypes, and when
parece
we
como que
think
vamos a
about
tener que hacer unos
how
grandes
we're
sobreesfuerzos
going
en la
to make
situación para
those
que una
people
persona al
fit
final
into a
encaje en el
company.
puesto de trabajo,
It
¿no?
feels
¿Por qué?
like
Porque es
it's going
ciega.
to take a lot
¿O
of
por qué?
work.
Pues porque tal, ¿no?
Why? Because they're
Entonces,
blind, or
el
because
abanico
they cannot
de
hear.
personas con discapacidad y el abanico de
But
tipos de
actually,
discapacidades,
the
no voy a
range
decir que
of
sea
people with
infinito, pero es
disabilities
casi
and the range of
infinito. Por
disabilities is
tanto,
almost
cuando pensamos en integrar a una
infinite.
persona con discapacidad en la
And
plantilla, es un reto,
when we
pero es una
think
cosa
about
mucho más
integrating
familiar de
someone
lo que
with a
parece. Y eso se
disability
demuestra cuando se
to our
arranca el
company,
proceso. Es
you might
algo que se
think
demuestra y que la gente
that
lo
it's a
percibe,
lot
¿no?
of work, but
Entonces
then
nosotros vemos en los
once
entornos
you
laborales que salta
start
un
working in
clic
it, you
en
see
un
that it's
momento
something
determinado,
that there's like
donde
a
la gente
click
dice, joder,
at some point and
sí, es más,
esto no es
everything
nada del otro mundo, es
works
que me
and
siento hasta
everyone
bien
says, well, actually
que
this wasn't
con
difficult
este
at
tema,
all.
este
I
tío
feel
es majísimo,
good
Es más,
doing this.
es
I
decir,
really
lo que
like
estamos
working
viendo
with
es
this
que la gente se
person.
involucra en que estas personas
Yeah, and
realmente
actually people
se
get
suban al carro de la
involved
formación, que
with
tengan más
getting
éxito,
these
etcétera.
people
Es un orgullo para la gente que tiene
fit
alrededor
into the
y para
company,
ellos también un
and
motivo también
they feel
de
proud
motivación.
of
Creo
doing it, and
que
it's
esa parte es
a way
importante.
of
Pero
getting
volviendo a la
motivated as well,
base,
and I
quiero
think
decir,
that is
son
very
personas
important.
totalmente válidas
If
que
we go
pueden
back to
desarrollar
the
una labor de
foundations,
verdad, ¿no? Y hay
these are
puestos,
people who
nosotros por ejemplo
can
estamos
do a
estudiando la
normal
posibilidad
job.
de que alguno de
And
ellos
one of the things we're
se
looking
dedique a
into
formación y
is
que dé cursos.
potentially having
Hay una
these
parte de
people
servicios profesionales,
train
de
other people,
instalaciones,
because we
cosas de
have
este estilo,
professional services, we have
analizando todas las posibilidades
installations as well.
y
So
tenemos
we
grandes
are
ganas, o sea, que
really
tenemos mucha ilusión.
analyzing all
También con Román
the
tenemos
possibilities. We have a lot of demand,
el
and we're
reto, ¿no?
really excited
de
about this.
convertirlos en un
And with
perfil
Roman,
potente
we also have the challenge of making them become a very powerful red team, which is also transparent, where no one knows what's behind that red team. Who are we? Well, there you go. This is us. And, tell people about the action point as well.
también hablando de Telefónica, decir que Telefónica
Also
fue otro caso
talking about
distinto, un poco
Telefónica,
como se
this
introdujo en
was
todo
a
esto a
bit of a
través
different case
pues,
because
la parte
they
de seguridad de la
got into
información
this
y
project
de todo lo que es
through
seguridad informática o
information
ciberseguridad en
security
Telefónica
and
y que ahora hoy
computing
representa aquí
security
David con
in
nosotros.
Telefónica, and
Cuando
David
se lo
is
contamos
here
a uno de los
on their
responsables,
behalf
en concreto
today.
una persona que
And
trabaja,
when we started
con quien
talking to one of
trabaja
the
David,
decision
Pedro Pablo
makers,
Pérez, una persona muy conocida y que no ha
who's,
podido
Pablo
asistir hoy
Pérez,
aquí,
someone David
es que
works
tardó
with,
otros
who
15
unfortunately
segundos
could
en
not be here
decir,
today.
a mí esto es
He
que, o
also
sea, yo quiero estar, a
took
mí me
about
interesa, yo
15
tengo que
seconds
contratar un
in
montón de
saying,
gente, pero
oh,
me
I'm
interesa,
really interested,
bueno,
I
esto te va a
really
venir
want to do
también bien
this.
por el tema de la cuota del 2%, es que no
And
quiero
we
ni saber lo
said,
del 2%,
oh, this is
es que
going
me
to
da
be
un poco
good for
igual lo
you
de
in
la
terms of
legislación y
legislation.
tal,
I
porque
don't
realmente
care
lo
about
quiero hacer
legislation.
porque tengo que
I
contratar
want to
gente
do
porque me
this because
parece
I want to do
genial
this, because
y además
I
me
need
parece
to
factible. Podemos
hire
formar a
people,
gente
because
con
I think this
discapacidad de
is
diferentes
great,
tipos
and because
para
I
poder
think
meterla
it's
dentro.
doable,
Yo me
because we
apunto y su
can train
compromiso
people
fue,
with different
yo en Madrid
disabilities
de este
and get them
programa voy a
into a
poder
company.
contratar
And
seguro
his
a 15
commitment
personas,
was,
en León a lo mejor no
I
tanto porque
can hire at
estadísticamente
least
hay
15
menos,
people
¿no?
in
Pero
Madrid,
también
maybe
tenemos
not that
empresa allí y
many
vamos a
in
poder
León,
contratar. Con lo
because we
cual
have
tengo que
less people,
agradecer
but we have a company there and we
también
will
un
be able
poco
to hire
esa
people there as well. So I would like to
predisposición, ¿no?
thank
David, te
their
pregunto,
predisposition as
¿qué
well.
percepción tienes tú
So,
un poco del
David,
programa a tu
what
nivel,
is your
en tu
perception
gerencia un
of
poco,
the
que
program
gerencias
from the point
identidad,
of
gerencias
view of
fraude, gerencias un montón de
the
cosas?
thing,
Bueno, si me
the things
permitís,
that you
quería dar la
do,
enhorabuena a
which
INCIBE
is
por el
identity
evento, me parece
fraud?
fantástico y
Well,
quería hacer un llamamiento a la
first of all,
gente que
I
haya
wanted
venido,
to
que venga,
congratulate
porque el evento es
Employability for this
espectacular,
event.
así que
I
vaya
want
por
to really
delante,
call on
quiero
people
dar la
to
enhorabuena.
attend if
A
they
ver, yo si me
haven't
permites,
done
quería hacer
so,
dos
because this
reflexiones,
is
¿vale? Yo creo que es un
amazing.
tema cualitativo y
So, I wanted
cuantitativo,
to
¿vale?
say
En el
two
tema
things. We
cualitativo, si me
have
permitís,
a
me voy a poner un poco
quantitative and a
corporativo, voy a
qualitative
hacer referencia a la misión de
point of
Telefónica.
view.
Telefónica tiene misión de
So,
hacer humana la
from the point of
tecnología y
view
conectar la vida de
of
las personas. Y
Telefonica,
creo que
we
este tipo de
want to
iniciativas
make
son
technology
fantásticas.
human, and we want to
Y a mí
connect people's
personalmente,
lives.
cuando
Sorry for being a
me
bit
dijeron
corporate, but I think it's
participar
true,
esto
and
para
it's
mí ha
a
sido un
wonderful
regalo, no ha
vision.
sido para nada un
And
marrón, todo lo contrario.
for
Me estaba
me,
acordando,
taking
porque
part in this has been a
bueno, yo
gift,
estudié ingeniería de
really.
telecomunicaciones en la Universidad Politécnica de
I
Madrid.
studied
Estudié con un compañero que en cuarto de carrera le
engineering,
diagnosticaron
and
esclerosis
one
múltiple.
of my
Y
fellow
vi todo ese
students
proceso de deterioro. Y cuando estaba
had
diciendo Román
multiple
lo de referencia, el
sclerosis,
chaval es bastante
and
inteligente que yo,
I
bastante
saw
más inteligente que yo.
how
Chaval, unas
the
capacidades
illness
fantásticas, pero vas viendo
developed. He
cómo
was
ese
very
deterioro físico
intelligent. He
le va un
had
poco sacando,
so many
que vas
abilities,
como los coches,
and
¿no? Vas ahí un
I
poco
saw, I
metiendo en el
watched
carril y va
him
un carril un poco y
deteriorate
se aparca una vía de
physically,
servicio.
and it's like a
Bueno,
car
de hoy
that
está un
goes
poco más
on
apartado
a
del mundo
lane, and
laboral,
at
¿no? Y me
some
parece que estas
point has
ideas
to
desde el punto
stop
de vista
at
cualitativo, no cuantitativo,
services
que
on the
veremos
motorway.
evidentemente coges cualquier
So I
estadística de
think this is
empleabilidad,
really
de
about
ciberseguridad, falta muchísima
quality,
gente y
and
demás, ¿vale?
there's the
También podemos hablar un poco de eso,
qualitative
digo,
aspect, not also
superinteresante, porque
quantity. It's
hubo una
true that we need
ponencia
many people, but I think it's about quality
Inma
as well.
Martínez, el jueves, que cuando empezó el
Inma
evento,
Martínez
a respecto a
gave
los
a
nuevos
speech
perfiles que
on
abre la tecnología.
Thursday, and
Perfiles
he
que no
talked
solo
about new
la
profiles
tecnología,
that
los
technology,
perfiles que vienen
new
son
jobs that
ingenieros y de
technology is
supercientíficos,
bringing.
que
It's
hay
not only
formaciones,
engineers
capacidades
and super
creativas, que estos
scientists.
perfiles
There are
tienen
many
capacidades empáticas
creative
y creativas
abilities,
muy por encima
and these
seguramente de la
profiles
media, ¿vale?
actually
Podemos hablar
have
de todo esto.
much
Yo
more
quería hacer
creativity
referencia a
and
esa parte
empathy
cualitativa, esa
than the
responsabilidad casi
average
social que tenemos las
citizen.
empresas de
So
incorporar estos
we
perfiles
have all
y
company social
también eliminar perjuicios,
responsibility,
porque también tenemos muchos perjuicios
and
a la hora de
we
tratar de
have
determinados
to help
perfiles.
to
Yo creo que esos
eliminate
perjuicios
prejudices,
los
because
eliminamos,
people
decía
do have
Enrique. Y
prejudices
aparte
when
cuantitativa, pues evidentemente
dealing
la
with different
ciberseguridad es un
people.
campo en el que hay
And
un
of course, in
montón de
terms of
perfiles que tenemos que
quantity
trabajar.
in
Por
cybersecurity, we
concretar,
really do need
¿veis
many
o seréis
people.
capaces, y lo digo de cara a la gente que nos esté viendo, ya no solo aquí, sino también por streaming,
Just for the people who are watching
¿qué
us
tipo de
here
puestos
and
de
on
trabajo
streaming,
concretos?
what kind
No tienen por qué
jobs,
ser el
specific
top level, sino
jobs,
qué tipo de trabajo concretos,
not
qué tipo de
only
actividades
talking about
concretas
top level
veis que
jobs,
puede
but
encajar
what kind
una
of
persona
jobs
que
or
sea formada
activities
durante
you
un mes,
think
o que sea formada durante 3 meses en
could
esos
be
dos
available
niveles de
for
formación
people who have
a la pluma,
trained
sin
for
compromisos, sino
1
simplemente,
month or
pues
3
yo lo veo
months.
aquí.
Just,
pues yo lo veo,
you know, there's not a
lo digo
commitment. Just
porque
say
el
what
que
you
menos
think
sabe de esto soy yo, y
these
Román
jobs
es
could be.
alguien que
Because I
está
really,
ahí
I'm the one who
rascando.
knows the least
Por otro
about
lado,
this, and I think
Raúl,
Roman
con toda la experiencia
is really
formativa y toda la
working on
carga que
this.
viene
Raúl
con
has
INCIBE, que es
a lot of experience
mastodonte,
in training.
pues tienen todo ese
and
conocimiento, pero yo particularmente me
at
cuesta
Emphiba they have all
aterrizar
that knowledge,
un
but
poco,
I
pues yo
personally
le vería haciendo esto, o en
didn't
ese puesto
really
de trabajo, o en este otro.
know
Si
specifically
queréis
what
que
things
digáis
they
dos
could
cada
do,
uno,
and
me vale.
you know, if each of you could say two.
Le da una vuelta e insisto, me venía a la
Well,
imagen
when
de
I
mi compañero
started
y
thinking
insisto con lo que dice
about
Román, mi
this,
compañero
I
puede
think
trabajar,
about
él hago yo y
my
lo hace
fellow
mejor que yo,
students,
sin
and
lugar a dudas.
he can do
Pero bueno,
what
creo
I
que sabe
do
muchos
and
campos,
much
por
better
ejemplo, en el
than
campo de
I
la
do it.
consultoría,
But,
pues veía un
for
poco la
example, in
formación también en tema
consultancy,
de saber hacer temas de seguridad de
they
redes,
can do
datos,
training
que no
in
tiene
network
prácticamente una
security.
formación fuerte,
So,
¿vale? Es decir,
imagine
nos
someone who
vamos a
doesn't
buscar a
have much
gente
training,
que
much background
está en situación de
training.
búsqueda de empleo, pero no tiene la
There
carrera
are
de
people who are
informática.
searching for
No
jobs
tiene una
but
ingeniería.
don't have
Bueno,
a
también cuando
computer
estudias
science
informática
degree
tampoco
or
tienes
an
seguridad, ¿eh?
engineering
Yo cuando
degree.
yo fui-
Even though
yo
if you've got a degree,
De hecho,
then
en
there's
teléfono no te enseñan
nothing
ni de una asignatura de leer
secure,
manuales.
there's
para que llegas a
no
casa,
guarantees.
tú sabes el que te lee los manuales en casa, ¿sabes? Tampoco, no te enseñan ni leer manuales ni seguridad.
There are many
ninguna de
people
las
who
cosas,
just
¿no? Con lo
read
cual, los que
the
estamos en
manuals
seguridad,
at
como
home.
Román ya tiene un poquito
The
también de
people
experiencia,
of
pues hemos
us,
empezado pues,
out of us
coger
who
un manual
work
y
in
tira para adelante, ¿sabes? Que es un poco
security,
este ejemplo
you just
también,
start out with a
¿sabes?
manual and you
Cógete un
just
manual
get
y
ahead with
empieza,
it.
pues, yo qué sé, por verlo.
So that could be the case.
Yo
Just take a
sinceramente
manual,
creo que, como dice
read
David,
it and
no hay que
start
tener
out.
complejos. Yo cuando tuve
As
que
David
aprender a
was saying,
programar
you
una cosa,
mustn't
pues
have
estuve 3 meses
complexes. When I had to learn
intensivamente.
about
Cuando digo
programming,
intensivamente,
I was
es
there
que
for
hacía pis
3
en una botella de
months
2 litros de Coca-Cola
intensively,
y tenía
and
las
I mean I
lentejas
was
puestas así
literally
mientras tecleaba,
stuck to the
¿vale?
desk
Y
and
intensivamente en 3 meses me convertí en
constantly on the
experto de programar
keyboard.
eso. Luego se me olvidó porque pasé
But
a
I
otra cosa,
became
y
an
a otra,
expert
y a
in
otra.
programming because
Entonces
I
yo
didn't
creo
focus on
que
anything
hay
else.
muchísimas actividades que se pueden hacer,
But I think
desde
there are
simplemente,
many
como decía Enrique,
activities
nivel
that you
0, nivel 1,
can
nivel
do
2, en
as Rick was
correlación,
saying,
mirando logs,
level
buscando
0,
patrones,
1, 2,
conectando cosas,
looking at patterns,
administrando
connecting
plataformas
different
concretas, que a lo
things,
mejor ahí, pues,
administrating
utilizando la
platforms.
fuerza que tenéis las empresas y el INCIBE, se coge del cuello a los
Perhaps in
fabricantes y
CB
ya
and
le
the
estás dando la
companies, you
certificación a
could
estos
go
tíos ya.
to
¿Vale? Y la
managers and say,
financias
oh, you
tú,
know,
ellos lo hacen,
give
ellos
us these
estudian, ellos
opportunities.
aprueban, ya están certificados
People
en tu
study,
plataforma. ¿Qué más puedes querer que tener
people
un tío
get
certificado?
certification.
Y ahora lo
What
empleamos.
else do you
¿vale?
need
Y
than
pueden
somebody with
manejar
a
firewalls,
certification?
detectores de
Now
intrusos,
give that person a
herramientas
job.
de threat hunting.
People who
O sea,
manage
hay
a
8.000
firewall, people
cosas
who
que
do
puede hacer
threat
una persona
hunting. There are
discapacitada.
thousands
Y
of
ya no
things
cuento
that
los que
people
tengan
with
TEA,
disabilities
o sea, los que
can
tienen
do.
trastorno del espectro autista,
And
por ejemplo, los Aspergers,
people with
pueden
autism
hacer
as well, such as
magia con estas cosas,
Asperger's,
¿sabéis?
they can do magic with
Sí,
these
sí, en
things.
línea con lo que decía Román, yo creo que el tema de los SOCs cabe
As
casi de
Roman
todos
was
los
saying,
perfiles, ¿de
I
acuerdo?
think
Desde los
the
niveles más básicos,
SOCs
también como avanzado a nivel
covers
de
all
procesos,
different
procedimientos, tecnología,
profiles,
pero también un poco los entornos,
technologies and so on, but it's also different environments, in OT environments, in certifications, in terms of privacy. You don't have to have studied engineering for 6 years to work in that. You need to have interest, you need to get the manuals, you have to have the ability to see that and deal with that.
Y estoy totalmente de acuerdo. Y bueno, nosotros estamos en la iniciativa y demás.
I
Pero sí es verdad que hay
agree
una
totally, and we're in
diferencia,
this
yo creo, entre
initiative.
hace unos
But I
meses y
think there's
ahora,
a
que es
difference
al ser tan
from
amplio
a
el
few
espectro
months
de
ago
trabajos
and
que
now,
pueden cubrir, además, perdemos
because the
muchas veces
spectrum
el
is
foco
so wide,
y el compromiso que tenemos
tend
entre todos nosotros de
to
llevar esto a cabo, de
lose
convertirlo
the
en algo
focus
real,
and the
concreto,
commitment we
con un
have
plan de desarrollo
to
de
put this
carrera
into
de
something
estas
real
personas, de
and
incorporarlas
make a real
subirles hacia arriba, darle
program
oportunidades
out
de
of this
verdad,
and convert
pero
these
con
opportunities into
compromiso de
something real for
continuidad
these
en el
people.
tiempo, ¿no? Yo creo que
But we
esto
have
sí
a
que va a marcar,
commitment over
probablemente dentro de
time
un
as
año,
well.
si volvemos a esta, ¿no? a
I
esta
think if we
misma,
come back
este mismo evento y
in
nos
1
sentamos,
year's time
podamos
to the
contar
same
también
event
la
and we sit
experiencia de hacia
down,
dónde nos
we'll
lleva este
talk about
2020 que
all
decíamos,
of the
que es tan bonito también un
experiences
cambio
that we
de
had up
década y
until
demás, donde podamos
2020.
llevar a cabo.
We'll
Yo
be
creo que
changing into a new
lo que marca
decade.
una verdadera diferencia no es la oportunidad
And
que
I
siempre ha
think the
estado ahí,
real
no
difference
ha
is
sido que haya personas con
what was
discapacidad. Mi
already
padre era
there.
minusválido y conozco muy bien cuál es
People
el
with
background de esto. Y aquí
disabilities
Asturias que conoces y que
have
caminos
been
se te
there, and I
cortan.
know the background very
No es
well.
esto, es el compromiso
But
de
it's not that, it's
directivos, de
the
organizaciones,
commitment
del propio
of
gobierno, en que
managers,
esto
of
llegue para
organizations, of the
adelante, que
government
tenga un camino y que se
to
defina, que
let
se
things
concrete, y
move
que lo llevamos
forward,
entre todos
to
hacia
have
el
a
mejor
concrete
nivel posible.
journey
Creo
and
que esa es la
path
verdadera diferencia. El potencial
towards
está ahí,
something
las
that, and I
personas
think
están
that's
ahí,
the real difference. I think the
las
potential
ventajas
is there,
están
the
ahí
people are there,
de todo tipo.
the
Yo creo que la
advantages
diferencia
are
está en que
there. There are
mantengamos
all types of
nosotros también nuestro
advantages,
compromiso
but
durante
we need to
a medio y
maintain
largo
our
plazo como mínimo,
commitment
¿no?
over
de que esto
time,
se va para adelante y
at
podamos
least
ponerlo
in the
negro sobre
midterm,
blanco, ¿no? Y
at
contar
least.
especialmente pues el año que viene qué
And
ha ocurrido en
particularly
concreto con esto, con lo otro, con lo
talk
otro, ¿no?
next
Y
year
cuál es
about
nuestro
what's
plan
happened
para el resto de
in
pues,
2020,
Yo estoy
talk
completamente de
back
acuerdo
and look
con
back
mis
onto that.
compañeros, representando a
I
INCIBE, pero
totally agree
también como opinión
with
personal,
my
yo creo que
colleagues.
hay un tema que no lo
And
hemos
to add,
dicho por su
I'd
nombre,
like to add
pero
a
creo que es un
personal
poco la base de lo que estamos
opinion,
comentando, ¿no? Que es un poco el tema
and I
de
think it's the
actitud.
basis
El
of what we're
conocimiento y la
talking
experiencia
about.
es
I think it's a
importante,
question of
es
attitude.
fundamental, vamos a
Experience is
trabajar en
very
ello,
important,
pero la
it's
actitud mueve
essential to work on that, but
aquí,
attitude is
yo creo que un tema
essential.
Y por mi experiencia personal, si crees en algo,
Based on
lo
my
puedes
personal
crear.
experience,
Yo creo
if
que
you
aquí,
believe in something,
todos
you can
creemos en ello.
create it. I
Roman
think
casi que
we
frenarle.
all believe in our project.
Pero yo creo que
Sometimes
son
you have to
acciones de
even put the
empuje
brakes on
personal.
some
Yo creo que en
people.
CIBE, bueno, y con CyberCamp lo estáis
But
viendo.
in
nos
CIBE and in
desvivimos.
CyberCamp, you
El
can see
equipo,
that we're really living
bueno,
it.
lo cree, ¿no? O sea, realmente estamos
People
trabajando en
truly
dos
believe in
pilares
what
principales,
they're
¿no?
doing.
El que todos al
We're
final
working on
somos
the
usuarios,
main pillars
de
of
alguna u
this.
otra
We're
manera, de las
all
tecnologías y hay que hacerlo de manera
users
responsable.
in one way or another of
Pero también hay una
technology.
oportunidad en esto,
And
¿no?
there are
Entonces,
also
¿de qué manera llegas a tu
opportunities
público?
in
¿Cómo
this
conectas
field.
con tu público?
So how do you reach with your public?
Hacemos
How do you
desde
connect
teatros
with your
hasta juegos
audience?
gincanas para llegar a ese público y que se lleven
We've
ese,
been doing
ese
games out there
ese
to reach
aprendizaje, ¿no?
and get closer
Yo
to our
creo que
audience and
se suma
extend
a
that
esta
knowledge.
oportunidad, en
So
concreto en el
this
campo de la ciberseguridad,
opportunity
un componente
goes
que no tienen otros
along
sectores, que
with
es el componente
another
de la comunidad
component that
hacker,
is not
que hacía
available
referencia antes
in
Román. La comunidad
other
hacker,
sectors, and that's
per
the
se,
community.
es una
The
comunidad
hacker
que comparte
community
conocimiento.
is a
Es una
community
comunidad
that
que piensa de
shares
otra
their
manera.
knowledge.
Con lo cual,
It's a community
yo creo que
that
tenemos una
thinks in a
oportunidad
different
todavía
kind
más
of way.
grande.
So I think we even have
hacerlo
a
dentro de este
bigger
sector.
opportunity
En
to
concreto,
do things within
bueno, quería
this
hacer mención a algunas de
industry.
las iniciativas que a mí personalmente me han gustado mucho y que nos han
Some
ayudado
of the
a
initiatives
definir
that
acciones, por
I've
ejemplo, como los hacker
enjoyed and
spaces.
have
Los hacker
helped us,
spaces
such as
es una comunidad
hacker
internacional
spaces.
que se
This is an
juntan,
international
de manera
community
completamente
that
altruista
gets
para compartir
together
conocimiento de todo
with
tipo,
no
¿no? Desde
particular interest
electrónica
other
y para
than
hacer que
to
las
share,
cosas, pues,
and involves people
bueno, pues el
from
conocimiento este, pues,
technology,
llegue de unos a
and
otros
they
y
share their knowledge
por qué no decir
between
también el
them.
talento que hay en España, particularmente en
And
este sector.
it's also about sharing the
En todo
talent
tipo, hemos
that
estado
we
viendo
have in Spain in
charlas,
this field.
de todo tipo, tanto talleres como
We've
charlas
been seeing
inspiracionales,
talks and
gente que está
workshops of
compartiendo
all
su
kinds of the last few days,
conocimiento en áreas,
and this is people
muy
who are
interesantes,
sharing
tanto es así
their knowledge in very
bueno,
interesting
gran parte de ellos han
areas.
sido, son gente de españoles, muchas veces están fuera
Many of
de
them
España ya,
are
por
from
desgracia, porque
Spain.
no
Many of them are
hemos puesto las
working
medidas
outside of Spain,
oportunas para poder
unfortunately,
retenerlo, pero también
because
España es un país muy
we haven't
social.
had the opportunity to retain
España,
them here in Spain.
siempre
But
ha
Spain is a
demostrado ser un
very
país
social country.
tanto
It has
con la
always been a
inmigración
social
como
country,
con aspectos,
both in
en este
terms
caso,
of
de diversidad
immigration
funcional. Nosotros desde
and
INCIBE,
in
antes
terms
de INTECO, hemos
of
trabajado en un montón de
function.
proyectos y hemos
In
estado
CIBE, we've worked in
viviendo
many
un poco con
different
ellos
projects,
la problemática,
and
intentando dar
we've
solución. Y es muy agradecido, la verdad que muy
looked
agradecido.
at these issues and tried to give
Y yo creo que en todo
solutions.
caso tenemos también muchos
And
retos
it's a
por
very
delante, ¿no? Por ejemplo,
gratifying
el reto de la
area.
herencia
We all need
en
to
sí
help
de
and
de
to
lo
move
que es la
things
contratación
forward.
o la empleabilidad en ciberseguridad.
Talking
Ya
specifically
existe
about
una
employability in
demanda y una oferta,
cybersecurity, there is
quizá a lo
a
mejor no
demand
tan-
and there is
no tan
offer.
alineada con la demanda, pero en todo caso sí que es
Perhaps
cierto que
they're
tenemos ahí
not
una
aligned
problemática. Estamos pidiendo
exactly,
skills
but we are
superhumanos,
looking
¿no?
for
Estamos pidiendo
skills
gente
that
que
are
sepa
even
de todo a la vez,
superhuman.
y eso es muy difícil.
We're asking
Aquí decía
people to know a lot about
Romana, haciéndonos
everything
una
all at
conversación que
once, and
tuvimos,
that's very, very
sí que
difficult.
ser práctico
A
y intentar
conversation
especializar y
we
focalizar, y he
had
hablado de certificaciones
was
concretas, o sea,
talking
no podemos saber
about
todo
the
de
need
todo.
to
Y esto lo heredamos,
specialize and
tendremos el
not
reto-
needing to know
el reto aquí.
everything about everything.
Y yo quería
And this
incluso
is one
ya
of the
no
challenges
solo
that we
hablar
have.
desde el punto de la
And I'd
responsabilidad social
also
corporativa,
look to
sino que
talk
realmente es una
about
oportunidad real,
responsibility
porque
from
como
the
decía
corporation,
Roman,
but
y
also
tiene toda la razón, de hecho hay
responsibility,
algún programa, tanto
real
en Estados Unidos como
responsibility,
Israel,
because
en lo
Roman
que
was talking a
determinados
bit about
tipos de
this,
personas con un
and
tipo
there's a
de
program
diversidad
in the
funcional es que
US
son mejores que los
about
que no lo son, pero para
specific
cosas muy
people
concretas.
that
Solo para el
some
análisis
people
del
are better
movimiento de
than
tropas,
others who are
o
not.
para el análisis de imágenes o reconocimiento de patrones,
If we're talking
personas
about
con, en este
analysis
caso,
of
Asperger
images,
o autismo, son gente que se ha
people with
demostrado. De hecho, hay
Asperger's
programas específicos para
syndrome
captación
or
de ese tipo
autism
de
have
perfiles,
been
que son
demonstrated
mucho
they have
mejores,
special
mucho más
skills for this
efectivas
field.
que en otros casos.
And they have skills that
Ya
are
termino
much
un
more
poco mi
effective
intervención.
than in
Yo
some
creo
other
que sí, que tenemos que
cases.
ser
And
concretos,
I'd like
y en
to
todo caso
end
tenemos
saying
una
that we have
clara
to
oportunidad
be
también internacional, ¿no? De
specific
dar
and
una
concrete,
imagen,
and there is
como por ejemplo la
a real
selección nacional de
opportunity
hacking,
here
que en España pues ha demostrado su talento varios años. Ayer hicimos
portray our
un
image
brainstorming sobre
internationally.
lecciones aprendidas,
Yesterday
porque
we
justo el año
had
pasado pues no
brainstorming
quedamos
about
tan bien.
the lessons
Somos el
learned
número
because
13
we
de
didn't do so
21.
well
Hay muchas cosas que
in the
mejorar,
competition that
pero
we were
también es
involved
verdad
in last
que
year. We were
todos los países están
13th.
intentando mejorar, por ejemplo,
But
en
all
concreto una
countries
cosa que
are
es el
trying
ratio de
to
mujeres, que ahí también tenemos
improve.
nosotros un reto principal.
And
Pero
one of the
nadie me ha
areas
hablado
is
en
the
esos
ratio of
encuentros
women in the
sobre
groups,
ese tipo de
but nobody has
oportunidades. Y yo
spoken to
creo
me
que,
about these
sobre
kinds
todo
of
cuando estamos hablando de retos muy
opportunities in those
concretos, con skills muy
gatherings.
concretos, a lo mejor este tipo de perfiles
We're
nos
talking
pueden
about
ayudar
people with
mejor,
people
como
with
digo,
specific
que otro tipo
skills
de perfiles.
and
Sin duda.
who are even
Yo,
better
además,
than
es
other
que
different
creo en
kinds
la
of profiles. profiles.
de las cosas,
Absolutely.
precisamente por es un programa
I believe in
especializado
specializing
en un proyecto concreto concreto de integración laboral de personas con discapacidad.
And this is a specialist program for integration. And you've spoken about specialization in cybersecurity and using people's skills. And this is what it's all about. Talking about this program, we're talking about the importance of people who are following things up, testing information, who's good at what are people's strengths. And we want to get to that level and work at that level. But I'd also like to mention today another aspect, which is the support of INCIBE.
Un poco quien nos es capaz de hacer concretar y de aterrizar un poco
is the entity that helps us to make this concrete and to give foundations to this project.
Bueno, y las personas que hoy también nos acompañan aquí,
the people who are here with us today and all the members of the team at INCIBE,
con el tema del programa es que hay interés,
with the program is that there's a real interest in doing it.
Pero aquí yo además lo cojo estos apuntes que hemos hecho de concreción. Lo que hay que hacer es concretar, es decir, esto
I'm writing down the ideas that we need to be a bit more concrete. We've shared really interesting energy here. We're clear about what we want to do. We've got structured the program, but now we have to call out to the people with disabilities, identify them, interview them, see who can come in and get involved. And we hope in coming years there will be even more talks and even more people involved. And we hope it goes on in time. But I think this is essential in terms of participation. And the participation of INCIBE has been essential, and particularly taking this out into the people, to the street, and we're talking about strength, and we need to materialize this with commitment.
La sonoridad y la imagen
we'll enjoy talking about this, but it's all about image and how that INCIBE is essential here. In all the meetings that I've been in, we've spoken about this, and this is something that we always repeat, and I'd like to focus on that and insist on that. There are many different strengths within our group. We've come together and talking about the different types of jobs that are out there, Telefonica also, as well as Roman, and Westcom, the ideas that they have, as well as employment. We're looking in all the different fields, and so really, I don't think we can have a better group of people involved with this. I don't know if you have any more comments, but congratulations to you all. I'm so pleased that this is up and running, and to build on this excitement, this interest we have in developing this program.
Hay una parte importante de aprender
There
durante este
is
próximo
also
año.
another important
que sea
part
algo
of
que sea
learning over the
evolutivo,
coming
que
year.
entendamos bien
I
lo que
think
está
we need
pasando
to
y que vaya adaptando el
evolve, to
programa.
learn from what's happening and learn from the program and the commitment to the program. I'd like to say thank you very much to all of you when you came to us with the initiative, and also to management and to Alberto, who recently changed on our new general manager, because it just took 15 seconds to talk about it, and you were already getting the response. So it's going back to what I was talking about, for if you believe, you can create. We're also getting other support from outside, so thank you to everybody who's involved. We have experience in terms of the industry, and also starting from scratch, making things happen and work. So all of the entities that have been involved right from the beginning, and all the agents and all the participants, we can't leave anybody out, because that would be an error. But in terms of having long-term programs, which is of interest to us, because this is really essential, well, we have experience in these kinds of areas of discussion.
Hablaremos muchísimo más,
and I mean that we will continue to work about this. We have to make things a little bit more concrete, but INCIBE's support is for sure.
Nuestra alta dirección, pues es un apoyo
and
en
it
el que,
comes from the very
es una
top
autopista,
management
¿no?
level,
para poder llegar
and
y
that's
disponer
a
de incluso
real
recursos y esfuerzo,
trampoline
¿no?
for
Más que
putting
simplemente
things
una creencia, pues,
into
de cualquiera de
practice.
nosotros individualmente, ¿no? Es como
And
organizaciones,
on an
una creencia
individual level, we
desde el
all
punto de vista de
believe in
la
this
institución.
as an organization as
Muy
well.
bien, pues a mí me gustaría por último también mencionar a las
Last
personas
of
de la
all,
revista SIC,
I'd
que
like
recuerdo que en el primer
to
momento
mention people
un
from
poco
the
mientras se
journal
gestaba todo esto
SIC.
junto con Rutia y tal, pues tuvieron también
We were talking about
una
this a little bit at the
participación, unas buenas ideas,
beginning.
nos sugirieron, nos
They
empujaron un poco y no están hoy
participated with
aquí,
their
pero
ideas and
bueno,
they
no
gave
quería
us
dejar
some
de
thought. They're not
mencionarles.
here today, but I didn't want to leave
Y
without
bueno, decir
mentioning
simplemente que
them.
vamos a empezar para aquellas personas o
We
empresas que
will
quieran
start
tener más información
so
sobre el
that
programa
companies
y
and
más concreción,
people
incluso
who want to
participar en
know
él y
more
ver si
about
pueden
this
ser un
know
candidato a
about
formarse y a
us,
participar en él. Vamos
or
a abrir a
people are
partir del día
interested
3
in
de
becoming
diciembre, que es el
a
Día Internacional de la
candidate.
Discapacidad.
We will start
Vamos a poner en
in
marcha un
December
correo
on
electrónico
the
que es
day for people with disabilities. So it says
pcibersec@goodjob.es. Repito,
cybersec.
cybersec@goodjob.es. Podéis escribir ahí, vamos a empezar a comunicar de otra forma, va a haber un pequeño plan de medios donde va a tener más sonoridad y aquel que quiera evaluarse y quiera ver si
So
puede
anybody
participar, pues
who
nosotros estaremos
would
encantados
like
de recibirle.
to
No
participate
sé si hay alguna
or
pregunta por parte de
get
los
some assessment
asistentes.
from there, then we'd be happy to deal with those requests. Anybody have any questions? Thank you very much, everybody. We're out of time, but I can say that all these gentlemen will be out there and available for any questions that you may have.